hopefully after the previous episodes you have managed to calculate the influence of which planets is good for you. And this video will be very practical in terms of what price to expect and some ideas where you may get affordable and nice stones so that you can multiply that beneficial influence. If you want to use crystals without going into astrology, then you should stick only to colorless and transparent crystals. There are countless varieties of such type of gems. It's not just clear quartz and diamonds. And if you want to venture even further, you could also maybe use crystals with very slight hue of any color, just a tint, barely visible. Or, if you wish to take risks, you may do so with green or yellow stones, but don't go for any other color, because there is too much risk to invite misfortunes instead of well-being. But do not forget what we learned in the previous videos. Start wearing every stone on the exact recommended day of the week after purifying it with water, burying in the ground for some time, or smudging it very well with natural resin. And you have to do some mantra chanting. If you cannot do the specific mantras recommended in the earlier episodes, then at least you should use Om, singing the mantra Om to the stone while praying to the deity of the given planet with your own words. And do not forget where you can wear your gems. For men it is on the right hand, for women on the left, on the exactly specified finger as it was in the earlier given charts. Also they can be worn as bracelets on your wrist or upper arm. That's also actually very convenient, or as pendants or any sort of jewelry on the head. And most importantly, do not forget the main rule: wear only clear, transparent crystals on your body without much inclusion. And if you cannot procure that type of high quality crystals, then it is better to just use them on your altar or desktop, but then you will need rather large pieces of at least few hundred grams to have any tangible results. If you have stones with dark, muddy and dull colors, maybe it is better to place them in the garden. With black stones, you better listen to the previous video or place them in the garden as well. Also keep in mind in general that all the recommendations I make about crystals in this entire series mostly refers to crystals with more hardness of at least 7 or more. Anything softer than that, with some small exceptions, is, well, not really useless, but mostly in the realm of placebo healing. This is very important. Somebody is asking, what do I mean by clear crystals? I mean either clear color as colorless, or I mean transparent without inclusions, high quality. Which of the two should be understood from the context, of course. I definitely do not mean clear energy, because we the modern people, we do not see that. This is a very good question. How do I know exactly that the harder the crystal, the more powerful it is? Well, exactly, in the Vedic Jyotish, the harder the stones, the more strong they are considered. And that's what people observe, for sure. And then I rediscovered it accidentally when I bought those topaz necklaces just because they were on sale. I thought it would be something like a quartz crystal, but it was way, way more powerful. And most importantly, the topaz can do what the quartz can never do, even in big quantities. And then when I got the first big raw sapphire chunk, that was like, wow, a few times more powerful than even the topaz. Please note that I always felt that when I used the big chunks like 100, 200 grams, it's not that anybody can go in the jewelry shop and take a 5-carat gem and try to figure out what is the value of the given stone for him just from such a small piece. That is very unlikely to work. In terms of immediately perceivable effect, that may give result in few days or few weeks or few months. Now, how do I practically feel the strength? For me personally, it puts purely physical pressure on a blockage I have. And the way I feel it, the closest would be the pressure one feels when one dives very deep. And it is very, very strong. For other people, the same energy will cause a different bodily sensation. Some describe it as if they have drunk 10 or 20 strong coffee cups at once. But again, I no longer feel this once I get crystallized with the given variety of stone. And other people may not feel immediate effects at all, or may not perceive them physically. People who are more of tamasic nature, their bodies are very inert by definition, and they will respond very slow to crystallization. For them it will be so slow that they won't be able to make the connection between the crystal doing it and the effects which will appear in days, months or years. I'm not aware of any physical gadget that would measure the healing power of the stones, but it is obviously related to their hardness. This is an interesting comment. Indeed, the crystallization may sound like something very invasive if our modern, limited idea of personhood was anywhere near the truth. Luckily, it is very wrong. I'm saying luckily because we are much more than the body-limited modern concept. We are constantly, quote-unquote, invaded by our other incarnations, by our higher selves, by the spirit of the earth on which we live and with which we interact all the time, with the spirit of the universe in which we live, because we are an expansion of that spirit. Not every intervention of a foreign spirit into our own being is necessarily malevolent. Even in the biblical context in which you place it, there is a devilish possession that's malevolent, and also sometimes the Holy Spirit comes upon people, like the prophets and saints. On the top of that, the Supreme Creator possesses everything because that's what He is by definition. What may seem like invasion is actually the way of life, the way consciousness flows. And that's why I'm making this series to use the old Vedic knowledge so that the people will know how to quote-unquote get invaded only by goodness. And in terms of crystal invasions, you cannot go wrong if you use colorless, high quality, transparent stones. And so we start with Venus. The nature of Venus is like this, that even if it is not well positioned for a given person, still it benefits. Its prime gem is clear, transparent diamond. And as far as poor man's diamonds, the best of them is white sapphire. I just started looking for affordable raw white sapphire, and I will let you know when I find the best supplier. Until now I was mostly into clear quartz and topaz, and they were quite strong for me, and only recently I started considering sapphire. So the poor man's sapphire is topaz. Here you can get full kilo for 60 euros. And also the necklaces come up to the same price per kilo as well, actually, because they are on offer. All of these links to all the stones you will find in the description, and all of them I have no profit from them, no commission. And in the comments section, if you find similar or even cheaper offers, for example in US, please drop a link so that people can benefit. I know that some of my viewers know much more about crystals and gems than me, so their comments are much appreciated and expected. Please only comments regarding the content of this video. Anything else should be submitted at megaliths.org. And when you provide links to websites selling crystals, please provide link only to the exact page where relevant to the content crystal is listed, instead of the home page of the business. And basically a big bunch of these topazes will do the same job and even much more than the best so-called EMF mitigation devices on the market, for the fraction of the cost and without any dependence on technical gadgets. Beware of Chinese smelted quartz. For example, this is widely sold as natural crystal coated with something artificial. It is not really natural. It has some sort of powder from real crystals, but it is not natural, not to mention that they are getting more and more expert in even growing crystal clusters. Here is more Chinese smelted stuff. It looks very realistic. They even imitate slight inclusions. I have links in the description to all kinds of Chinese fakes, so that you get an overall idea. And when you see a shop full of such so-called natural stones, then beware of their so-called natural clear quartz as well, especially if they sell those uniform-sized obelisks and double-enders. Those are sure fakes. So what they do is they browse local trade directories in Europe and America, and the owners of small shops or anybody who sells any natural stone, what they receive by post is a big parcel for free with all kinds of very well looking imitations, and on the top of that they are already labeled with the brand of the shop, with stylish design. All that the Chinese deliver for free as an invitation, and then they include their fantastic price list. And many shops give in and start selling that junk, and they label it as natural stone. All those brightly colored stones, everything is fake. Or it is usually there is some natural element. Usually it's another cheap stone which has been made to look like something completely different. Something else which I forgot to mention in the previous episodes is that you can energize your water with the crystals. They even manufacture actually ready-made very convenient bottles. However, the problem with those is that they have these Chinese crystals which look very good and convincing. So I would avoid those. I guess for different problems, wearing stone or drinking energized water may have different effects. I have not done tests with that, because I'm a bit skeptical with all stones. It is only the miners who know what kind of chemicals they have put on the stones. The retailers, they have no clue, and one stone would change few wool sellers before reach the retailers. Even the wool sellers don't know how is the stone actually treated, and how that can be reversed so that it can be used in your drinking water. But I hope you have seen my previous videos. As far as drinking water, just get a distiller device And distilled water, which actually means pure water, and that is the best thing to drink. Don't believe the propaganda that it will dissolve your bones. It will not. But as far as what kind of stones to use if you decide to energize your water, I think it's much wiser to follow the choice of stone according to the Vedic recommendations, because the modern recommendations, they're so abundant, but I didn't see a single reference to any serious source why they have decided that exactly such stones will do this and that. Usually they say there is some ancient source, but I'm afraid too many details of the original situation and recommendations and the entire thing are missing, and it is turning more like a superstition and guesses rather than anything practical. Plus, the ancient people used a really good quality of precious and semi-precious stones, while modern men have developed taste for very low-grade stones. And as I mentioned in the previous episode, yes, in Ayurveda, in the Chinese traditional medicine, there is such a thing like this stone is for this sickness. There is a lot of that. However, the sicknesses over there do not have their modern names, but have completely different, very sophisticated definitions. Like in modern Western books, you will read, this stone is for heart problem. And probably the original ancient source for that was, let's say, some Chinese writing where there are a few hundred types of heart problems with few hundred different recommended cures. And stones, different powdered stones in different proportions or different mixtures. So that is the ancient source. And to have an exact diagnosis, which type is your heart sickness out of this few hundred possible, you need to be diagnosed by your pulse and by a really expert traditional healer, which is almost impossible. So most likely all these modern recommendations about this stone for this ailment, I think they're absolutely irrelevant, to be honest. This is the price you should be paying in Europe for a clear quartz necklace from Brazil. And I guess in America it will be much cheaper, because everything is cheaper and because the import from South America is much easier. Now, as far as clear quartz clusters, the more you have at home, the better. They don't need to be completely clear. It is okay even if they are partially white. This is surely okay. And the best place to get them is second-hand markets of any sort, because new ones cost thousands in the shop, but second-hand you are looking at, let's say, 20 euros per kilo of excellent clear quartz clusters. But as mentioned previously, do not expect the same strength as from the topaz. Like a handful of these topazes have the same strength as a huge 20 kilo cluster of clear quartz. I don't know why, but that's how it is. And now finally a few words about the Queen of all, Diamond, Lady Diamond. Due to the pricey situation, I have not tested that properly. Yes, one can get raw diamonds pretty cheap, 20-50 euro. However, they're such low grade that I actually wouldn't risk with them. They scan each and every diamond inside with very sophisticated software, and only those that are really messed up, they go for raw diamonds jewelry. But just as a general information, all these pricey raw diamonds that you see in the high-end shops, more than 90% of them come from the cutting center, the diamond hub of the entire earth, and that's in Surat in India. The reason is, of course, that the Indians are the biggest buyer of diamonds as well, for Jyotish purposes. Many people think that India is just full of hungry and poor people, but this is really not so. All the rich and middle class people, they just buy gold and diamonds and they dig it into the ground. They don't keep it in banks. Probably all of the raw diamonds, which are from sellers from Surat, India, are genuine, or at least you can see the reputation score of the seller. If, it seems all of them have a very high score and 100% satisfaction from the customers. And also they are very cheap diamond testers. And again, the link to everything I mentioned is in the description of this video. And this diamond tester actually can help you also see what is the hardness of other stones. It is not very precise on stones, the surface of which is not perfectly polished, but it can be used as a general guidance. And again, I'm mentioning this where you can buy raw diamonds, not because I recommend them for healing, but because the same diamond, which costs in Surat €30, is sold for 400 in Europe and US. And they do the same thing, they buy it from Surat in India. Now, there is information in the Vedas that all things which have this kind of divine glow, let's say, something like this, let's say, they are also somehow connected to the benevolent forms of Devi and are maybe also applicable as stones with a similar effect as the clear color transparent stones. This is actually a Chinese crystal. They make them by powdering low-grade crystal and then somehow smelting it and melting it into very clear crystals. It also has some effect. Or it is maybe just glass, I don't know. And on the top they somehow bake them and put them into ovens with this special, they call them fumes of precious metals, and the result is actually, it looks very nice. They call them angel aura crystals. If I knew that the crystal inside is real and natural, maybe the coating would be okay. After all, it is supposed to be of precious metals. They do something similar to topazes, and when they put lots of color, they call it mystic topaz. It really looks quite magical. Some natural stones, like for example labradorite with lots of fire, or opal with lots of fire, they also look quite mystical and magical, and probably that's what they truly are. But unfortunately, there are no, known to me at least, I couldn't find any old references in Jyotish in terms of how they should be used. And the final note about buying raw stones on eBay. Although I said that many of them are genuine, this doesn't mean that all of them are genuine. For example, these are widely sold as white sapphire. It's actually topaz. And few other helpful tips about eBay if you are looking into cut stones, like properly shaped and polished. There are some genuine even on eBay, maybe 10% or less. 99 of all the cut stone offered there is from India and is absolutely fake. But there are some sellers from Thailand. Thailand is one of the major main gem hubs on Earth, so no wonder that they're still offering something sensible on eBay. So some of the Thailand sellers, they offer actually very nice things at good prices. You can recognize them by a very high rating, above 99%. And I don't recommend you, but in case you decide to buy any gems, look at what is exactly the negative rating for. And if for any seller you see more than one person saying my gem is fake, don't buy from that seller. And even those who sell genuine stones from Thailand, even with them there are sometimes problems. Like, for example, they could sell you spinel for sapphire. But on the other hand, not all Thailand sellers are honest as well. So if you decide to use eBay, be sure to use one of these, they call them sniping tools. They will place your bid for you within the last few seconds, and this will reduce the cost for you personally if the other people who are bidding are not using this tool as well. They all offer free trials, and as far as long-term use, Bid Slammer is the free one you want to use. Healing effect can be achieved with raw stones. That's why I'm making this video, so that this type of healing is affordable for all. I'm mentioning the good stone only for those who, let's say, experiment with raw stones and are convinced that I am most definitely getting results with this or that variety of stone, and if the person has spare money, why not make a nice ring as well? Actually, in a sense, the raw gems are more likely to help you because usually they are much bigger in size. Next are the stones for mercury, or Bud, as they call it in India. What you need are green sapphires and emeralds. Both are almost equally good. It's difficult to find the right thing though. Very rarely good lots come out on eBay. Mostly it is just total fakes. Like this. Well, eBay is definitely not an honest company. They are deliberately and knowingly encouraging ongoing fraud. This is genuine, but this is not even garden quality. This is throwaway quality. And these are genuine stones, for sure, garden quality. There were good offers a couple of months ago, just not currently. I will keep you updated, or hopefully some of the viewers will share helpful links for emeralds. For transparent green sapphires, unheated, it is only this seller, but the quality is like extremely low. These are extremely small stones, but they are most definitely genuine sapphires, and they are untreated. And they also look much worse in reality than on the photo, but this is the best I have found till now. I hope actually that my viewers will have better suggestions. And in general, there are so many other green stones, really great variety of green stones. Sadly, some of the most beautiful, like the peridot with such wonderful luster, they are too weak. Their hardness is not enough, and they are more for decoration only. I'm also actively looking for a supplier of raw white sapphire, and I will keep you updated on all that, and the emeralds as well. This is the best lab-grown or lab-synthesized emerald. Could be just glass, but it is sold as emerald widely. Next, the stone of Saturn, blue sapphire. Do not bother with anything else. This is extremely powerful. Everybody reports that this is the second most powerful stone after diamond, and I personally also felt it as very, very aggressive. And this is how they look after and before heating them to unbelievable temperatures, almost to the point of melting. Both heated and unheated are extremely powerful. I don't know if the heating does anything bad to them in terms of magic, but you can get both types at reasonable price here. The seller might be offering free worldwide shipping on orders above $20. Theoretically, according to classic Jyotish, both the opaque stones and the heated are wrong and bring bad luck. My personal opinion, these both types are okay to keep at home, but if you really want to be on the safe side, do not wear them on your body. I would personally wear the heated ones. If you want really unheated and naturally transparent, this is the only place I know of. Sadly, the quality is extremely low. Very, very small, like 2, 3, 5 millimeters. Plus the photos and the colors are insanely photoshopped. But at least I guarantee you that these are natural sapphires, and I really believe there is no way they are heated, at least the heavy heating. As far as low temperature heating, that I believe all sapphires go through. But it doesn't change their internal structure, because that heating cannot be detected even with a microscope examination. So what about the beautiful turquoise? It's blue. Is it also stone of Saturn? I don't know, most modern Jyotishis seem to attribute it to Venus, but I think ultimately it doesn't matter, because the real natural turquoise is so expensive that common people cannot use it anyway. It seems that the ancient people also used semi-precious stones like prayeronite, amazonite, aventurine, jade, chrysoprase, carnelian, chrysocoral, and others. So they're not completely transparent, or even not transparent at all. So these are the exceptions which I mentioned. Stones of high grade of this type of varieties, they are also considered auspicious to wear. They are considered to bring good luck. But you have to be sure that you wear only the finest quality. I don't know if the mediocre qualities which are flooding the market do bring good luck at all. The chances that anything magical will happen after wearing them are low, but it is possible for those who are somewhat harder, like hardness 7, maybe. If the stones are really high grade and you wear really lots of them. High-end shops in Europe sell necklaces made exactly of these beads. And although this is a Chinese supplier and a Chinese website, which is full of fakes, of course, but since respectable jewelers use them, well, maybe they have tested them or something like that. Of course, here they are sold for a lot of money. Nothing like this 1-2 euro. Probably this is made of powdered turquoise, and then maybe dyed, and then the pieces are glued together. Well, this is just general information for turquoise lovers. Do not expect dramatic effects by wearing them. For dramatic effects, you need sapphires, topaz, things like that. Now, as far as the crystal of the sun, that is a ruby and nothing else, and do not bother with any other type of stone. Actually, the ruby and the sapphire are the very same variety of stone, just the two different colors have different names, and everything I said about the sapphire is applicable for the ruby as well, including the transparency and the places where you can get it. Everything is identical. If somebody suggests better sellers for transparent crystals only at better price, I will be including that as well as link in the description. Now, the stone of the moon is the pearl, but I'm not sure if it is a good idea to use the modern pearls, because almost all of them seem to be cultivated. Maybe it's better to settle for Moonstone. This seems to be a very good offer actually for very nice pieces as far as my limited knowledge goes, this is most definitely genuine Moonstone. I don't know if there are any fakes at all, because it's not that much of an expensive stone anyway. The only fake Moonstone is the opalite. So if you go to a store that sells crystals, don't go for the opalite. That is a type of glass, but in many stores they just put it amongst the natural stones. Another thing about using pearls is that I've heard from some old Jyotishi that if the pearl is not really perfectly round, it actually distorts your thoughts, your mind. It's not a good thing. So I don't know if there is anything wrong in wearing cultivated pearls, but surely I've heard that pearls that are not perfectly round are not auspicious to wear. Also the pearls, and as well, by the way, the coral, which will be the next stone under question, they're not of any remarkable hardness. That's why I said there are exceptions. Apparently for them the magic is of different type, because they're body part of animals. So that seems to be a different story. And the coral is the main stone for Mars. Now the problem with the corals is that all the affordable ones are heavily colored. They're made from bleached coral, and I'm having the suspicion that since coral by nature is very, very soft, the intense heat treatment may affect it more than it would affect the harder stones. So maybe it could be wiser to go for the substitutes like carnelian, but the carnelian stones are also often treated too much. Then what about orange sapphire? Shouldn't that be the most powerful stone for Mars? If that is so, why is it very rarely recommended as a substitute for the coral? I don't know. There is no reference in the old books about that. Maybe they did not have orange sapphires in sufficient quantity when they were writing the Jyotish books centuries ago. Maybe there is some other magic in the coral that we don't understand. But this is the situation. If you want to multiply the influence of Jupiter in your life, yellow sapphire is what you want, or yellow topaz is the second best. And many other far less potent substitutes like citrine and yellow quartz. And this is a real citrine born by nature, and this is a baked citrine made of amethyst in the oven. I guess it's okay, because after all they're the same stone. This is also baked. And the same stone that we call quartz. When it is white, it's clear quartz. When it is yellow, it's citrine. When it is purple, it's amethyst. And when it is like muddy, then we call it smoked quartz. Here the three colors appear on the same stone. So I was browsing this American website selling crystals, and I see all these mind-blowing categories like crystals to reduce your weight. I was wondering, oh man, I should get one for my cat because she looks like a ball because of daily overeating. And it is so funny. They just listed all the yellow stones as weight-reducing stones, not understanding that Actually, it is exactly only the yellow stones that can cause one to have like bigger and stronger, well-built body. That's a typical characteristic of Jupiter, and not just theoretically. I've seen that in India. People with very strong Jupiter, they're this type of mighty people that when they enter a room, they like fill it up. Clear color crystals make people beautiful. Green and blue make them thin and slender, and yellow make them big. I don't know if there will be any visible difference from wearing this type of crystals, but surely those who are heavily influenced by a given planet by birth, they most definitely exhibit the bodily features of the planet. I have seen that many times, countless times in India, because my friend was into Jyotish and we would see the charts of different people, so it is absolutely true. Not all people's chart are dominated by a certain planet, so and that reflects on their looks, but when you see somebody like a pencil, thin and long, that is for sure that either Saturn or Mercury have strongest influence on him. And the big size cats, it is always Jupiter who is responsible for that. Now, as far as using crystals for Rahu and Ketu, I'm not gonna cover that because it goes a little bit beyond the scope of an introductory course for beginner aspiring astrologers like ourselves. That's too complicated. But I will keep you updated with the results of my future experiments, and if there are any better links for getting stones, you can find them in the description of this video. I will be updating the description every time somebody points out a better offer than what I have mentioned in the video. So I got many questions. What about this or that variety of stone? This lady says that it helps her for period cramps, and she's not sure if it is placebo or not. It doesn't even matter. Even if it is placebo, you should be proud that you managed to create a magical object yourself, because we create our placebos. The placebo success rate is relatively low, so people who manage to cure themselves in that way, they should be proud that somehow they figured out how to make magic, although they don't have the technical education of doing it. Now, will this remedy work for most other women? I personally think not. Proper research needs to be done. This type of cramps are quite nasty, and for such an acute pain, the way I would expect it to work, and this is only a guess, would be with kilograms of very powerful crystals combined with real shaman chanting mantras. Yes, I think this is absolutely realistic setup for reducing even very acute pain very fast. And most likely that's how the healing places will look after a few decades. Another comment. I don't think it is the right time to talk about crystals. The parasites are up to something big and no good. Dear Doody, I would actually share your lack of enthusiasm about crystals just a couple of months ago. I also thought they're not very practical, although in general I believed in their power. However, the higher powers showed me practically that I was absolutely wrong, and that's why I'm making this series to spread the good news and to assure you that for many people, actually the crystals can give considerable help during this very dark period of big and no good, which I foresee coming in full force in a couple of years, maybe 5 or so.